Hello everyone, welcome to the Handspinner Review Spot YouTube channel. You can click on the link in the description below to go to our Facebook page for all manner of other content, but in the meantime, if you feel like it, please hit that subscription button and give us some support here because it's hugely helpful and really appreciated. So, what are we looking at today? Well, this is the Jaunt by Brothers Concepts, and it's one that I've looked at for a long time. I remember on Instagram in the fairly early days of the hand spinner scene, seeing the 3D printed prototypes of these, and first reaching out to Andy Brothers of Brothers Concepts, interested in these and wanting to know more, and I finally have one in hand. So let's talk about it. But before we do, let's do a few size comparisons because that is going to be one of the topics of discussion here. So there we go. And then there it is against a rotor blade stubby. Another fairly large spinner, the MechForce Hurricane. We'll stick a Casfly Crusader in there. And then a Vorso flat top. It gives you a fairly good idea as far as bar spinners are concerned. Let's put a compass in as well because that's another fairly long one from Zero Feud. So there you go. As you can see, it's got some length about it and some width, and it looks like quite a hefty beast. And you're not lying. This is over 80 grams. This is actually the Jaunt Light, and that gives you an idea of how heavy the Jaunt must be, because I believe light actually refers to the fact that it has been slightly lightened with some chamfers and that kind of thing, but also these machine finish sections here, which, as you probably saw at the beginning, I mean, obviously you'll get a certain amount of warp from the camera, but they catch the light really nicely and create some really nice effects. But that's preempting the rest of the review, so let's get on with it. Okay, so it's a really unique design. It's got, for me, almost kind of a robotic feel about it, and I always quite liked that when I originally saw them. This particular one here is in brass. It started to pick up a bit of a patina as I've been carrying it and using it ready for the review. This one here has a bearing converter core inside and some stainless steel bearing caps or buttons. As you can see, there's the converter core. Now, the way these are produced is Andy has these machined in Ohio in the USA, and then the bearing cores, if that's what you go for when you purchase them, are from China, as well as the caps as well. So that gives you an idea. You've got sort of a mixture of different locations here. And these are quite competitively priced, because what I try to do with these reviews is I try to leave some longevity in them, so I don't quote prices directly, just in case they change by the time that you've watched this review and you're over on their website. But they're quite competitive. I'm going to keep that in mind during the review because there are a few issues here. So, how does it spin? Well, obviously the design itself leads to quite a unique sensation. It's got a lot of outward mass, and this is quite a long spinner, I must say. At one point I got over 7 minutes out of this on a table spin, which is pretty remarkable. It's got a lovely spin about it, actually. There's a lot of outward mass, so as you move it around you get quite a lot of feedback. So if you're someone who really likes feedback spinners, this might be one for you. It pushes away quite nicely because of these little divots that you can see in this section here, and then you've got some big chamfers. And the chamfers are relatively useful when you do a reverse flick, but as we move through this we'll come to some issues with that. The spin itself is it's got that lovely reassuring weighty quality, that pendulum-like feeling, which something like the compass has as well, where you just want to sort of feel the weight of it move, and indeed sometimes there's actually a nicer one just to slowly flick around and feel as it changes direction, and it's nice from that point of view, and it's certainly quite a unique spinner. In terms of stability, it does have some wobble, some relatively considerable wobble actually, depending on the RPM. I don't know how easy it'll be for you to see that, but it is there. If I do it quite slow, you can see at various speeds the wobble will be, there you go, that's showing it there. The wobble will be either better or worse. I don't consider it a huge drawback on this design, but it does suggest that there's something going on in the tolerances here that isn't quite perfect. My biggest gripe with this though is the ergonomics. Now obviously whenever you've got a design that's this clearly centered around its design itself, the visual impression it gives, you normally have some ergonomic drawbacks, and there certainly is that here. This edge here is really quite sharp and not particularly comfortable. This chamfer is quite large, and it creates quite an obtuse angle, which is good, but the actual edges of the chamfer itself are a little bit sharp as well. So in general, it just feels, when you're reverse flicking it, you will get some finger fatigue, particularly, as you can see here, hopefully, when I'm pulling it back there, it's just not that comfortable. I can try it here. That's not too bad. There are ways around it when you're handling it. It's not that you can't flick this comfortably. It's just that you need to actually take some care and think about what you're doing when you do, which will be for some people and won't be for others. Now, obviously, as I said, it's quite a long spinner, and I'm reviewing this with two caveats, really. One, it is competitively priced, and that should be kept in mind. But also, I have quite small hands, and this probably isn't a spinner for me, partly because of that. I'm having to reach a bit more for it than someone with larger hands would do, and I'm probably less able to use the areas that maybe Andy had in mind for flicking it than someone with larger hands would be able to. So, yeah, I have mixed feelings on the Jaunt. Overall, I quite like the design. I find the machining is a little sharp and feels just a little unfinished in places, and I don't find it the most ergonomic design in the world, though I'm not sure that it was ever intended to be that. It's funny, because I enjoy playing with it. There are times when my mood would want me to pick this up, and indeed, you know, obviously I've carried it ready for review so that I can actually give you guys an informed opinion, but equally that's not the only time that I've actually used it. There have been times I've just been sat around in the evening, TV's on, or my wife's playing on the Xbox or something like that, and I just end up picking this one up because I just like the sensation of it spinning. So yeah, mixed opinions on this one, and although I'm sure many of you would like a defined recommendation on whether or not to get one of these, if you really like the design and you understand that the price is quite competitive as well, and I've hopefully made you aware of the potential drawbacks and those don't bother you, yeah, sure. I honestly think it's actually quite a nice piece to have in a collection because it's quite unique. If you're someone who really likes very ergonomic spinners, or likes lighter spinners or shorter spinners, then the Jaunt really is one to pass up. But equally, I think it's an interesting design and one worth considering, if nothing else. It also comes, I should have brought it over actually, but I've forgotten to. It also comes with a little 3D printed stand, which holds it up like that, which is a nice little added extra. It's a cheap little thing, but it's a nice thought, and little extras like that are always appreciated. And he's a one-man band, and he's been very nice to deal with. And so, yeah, I just go back and forth on this one. So there you are, guys. Wish I could give you a clearer picture, but sometimes that's the way it goes. Thank you very much. Catch you at the next video. Bye-bye.